Hollow Knight Silksong is finally out. After years of waiting, one of the most anticipated indie sequels ever has officially hit the theoretical shelves. And while a lot of people are celebrating, a surprising amount of discourse has popped up around the timing of its release and its $20 price tag. Some indie devs and fans are frustrated. But let's break this down because honestly, Team Cherry didn't do anything wrong here. What's going on, guys? I'm Jay Parm, and this is something I want to talk about. First, let's acknowledge the obvious. Silksong was originally announced way back in 2019. For 5 years, fans have been asking for updates, waiting through delays, and speculating on when it might finally launch. Fans at times thought the game would never come out. This wasn't some sudden stealth drop. This was a sequel to one of the most anticipated successful Metroidvanias of all time, and its release was inevitable given this year's coverage and talks. And this isn't unique to Silksong. Think about Cuphead, the delicious last course. That DLC was announced in 2018 and didn't release until 2022. When it finally launched, of course, it dominated headlines and community conversation. Silksong is in the same category. You can't expect a game with that much hype, with that much of a cult fan base behind it, to tiptoe around other releases. Eventually, it had to come out, and when it did, it was always going to take over the spotlight. So with that in mind, let's talk about the release window. When Silksong's date was announced, and especially once the game actually dropped, some indie developers expressed concern that their own launches were overshadowed. The complaint boils down to, my game got buried because Silksong released the same week, and they should have given more of a heads up on when it was going to be released. But here's the reality. It's not Team Cherry's responsibility or any studio's responsibility to make your release window more favorable. That's just not how this industry works. If your game is releasing, you're competing with everyone else on the market. That includes Silksong, Call of Duty, 2K, or a small passion project that blew up on social media. Even the biggest studios regularly move their games around to avoid competition. You'll see publishers say, we're not launching near Rockstar or FromSoft. That's suicide. That's a business decision, and indie devs can do the same. But it's not on Team Cherry to hold back their own project just to make things easier for other releases. That's just the reality of competition. Then there's the other major talking point, Silksong's $20 price tag. People are arguing that pricing it so low somehow sets a precedent that now all high-quality indie games need to be cheaper, or that audiences will expect the same value to price ratio going forward. But here's the thing. Team Cherry made that call for their game. Pricing is always up to the developer. Some indies price at $15, others at $30, some even at $40 or $50. Cuphead, Stardew Valley, Hades, Celeste, Dave the Diver all had different prices, all successful in their own right. Silksong being $20 doesn't erase that variety. It just means Team Cherry felt confident that $20 was the sweet spot for their audience. It doesn't devalue your game. If your project is worth more, charge more. The market decides, not some imaginary standard that Silksong supposedly set. And this is where the frustration really shows. It feels like a lot of people just want something to be mad at. Because underneath all of this noise, the core issues aren't about Silksong at all. They're about how hard it is to stand out in today's indie market. Discoverability is brutal. Steam is flooded with hundreds of new games every month. Marketing budgets are small. Algorithms don't always work in your favor. So when a juggernaut like Silksong drops, it becomes an easy scapegoat. But blaming Team Cherry for succeeding doesn't fix the actual systemic challenges indie devs face. Now, let's flip the perspective. If Ubisoft, EA, or Rockstar dropped a massive release the same week as your indie game, would anyone seriously expect them to delay it just for you? Of course not. Everyone accepts that as a part of the business. So why is Team Cherry being treated differently? Because they're technically indie? At the end of the day, there's still a studio making business decisions. The fact that they're independent doesn't suddenly mean they owe other devs special treatment. If anything, their success shows what's possible for indie studios to achieve, and that should be inspiring, not discouraging. So here's the bottom line, or brass tacks. Silksong releasing when it did was not an attack on other devs, and its $20 price tag isn't some industry-wide psyop that devalues other indie games. These were Team Cherry's choices for their own project. As a developer, you can look at their release and decide, do we shift our own date, or do we stand firm and bet on our own game's uniqueness? Both are valid strategies, but expecting another studio to work around your timeline or pricing model just isn't realistic. But the frustration around this shows something bigger. The gaming market is oversaturated. Steam alone sees hundreds of new titles every month, and most of them vanish without anyone noticing. That's the real battle indie developers are facing. Not Silksong, not its price, not its timing. Discoverability is the real challenge. Even if Silksong had launched in a different window, the landscape would still be crowded, which means indie devs need more than just a great game. They need strong marketing, a community, and a unique hook to cut through the noise. That's tough, but it's the truth. Indie games thrive on diversity, different price points, genres, styles, and audiences. Silksong's release doesn't erase that. It's just one more game in a massive, crowded ecosystem. A successful one, sure, but still just one piece of the puzzle. But what do you think? Did the release of Silksong actually hurt other indies, or is this just frustration being misdirected? And do you think the $20 price tag will influence how people see indie games going forward, or is it ultimately a non-issue? I really want to hear your thoughts, not just as players, but also as creators. If you're an indie dev yourself, what's your perspective on this? How do you plan around massive releases like Silksong? Or do you just focus on your own vision and let the chips fall where they may? Drop a comment down below. I'll be going through and replying to as many as I can. And while we're at it, let's not forget to celebrate Team Cherry finally getting this game across the finish line. Silksong was announced years ago. It's been a long road, and regardless of where you land in the debate, it's incredible to see such a highly anticipated indie sequel actually deliver. The passion of both the devs and the community around this project is something worth acknowledging. If you like this breakdown, hit that like button and maybe think about subscribing. It really does help me out, and it lets me keep making more videos like this. If you're into indie games, game design talk, or just chatting about whatever I'm into at the current moment, ring the bell so you don't miss the next one. I've already got some cool stuff lined up, and I got one big video on how maybe game studios should be looking at making games and live service like a relationship. I appreciate you all for watching, appreciate the love for indie games, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.